What's that smell?
I don't know about you, but I'm thirsty as fuck. Thirsty as fuck.
Hey, look at these!
Thrill me.
If you come back in here, I'm gonna hit you with so many rights, you're gonna beg for a left.
Thrill me.
Beg for a left.
Thrill me.
Hey, look at these!
No more hangers!
It stinks.
Hangers!
Get to the chopper! Sticker Madness.
Hello and welcome to Sticker Madness, the podcast about bad movies for bad movie lovers. I'm your host, Justin. With me is always Sam, and with me is not always Jackie. She's absent today.
I'm not here. But I am,
Right.
because I have to make my voice sound more manly when I'm pretending to be me instead of Jackie.
Right. Gotta really separate those two.
This is Sam.
I'm
not Jackie, not here. But Sam is here, and he's very manly. Very manly.
This is a special episode, of course, when Jackie's not here. Sam and I do the round table discussion, which it wouldn't be a real round table if it's just the two of us.
No, it's
what
a
do you call that?
straight table.
Just a dialogue, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
A little dialogue. And have a little dialogue here.
What are we calling this episode, Sam?
This is the Jackie's gone, so Sam gets to bitch about Star Wars and MCU, not special.
Not special. Excellent. Okay.
And I'm probably going to throw a few jabs at Game of Thrones if we have enough time.
I think that's a pretty common thing on the internet right now, is to be jabbing the GOT.
Just want to get my fist on the top of that pile.
I want to, before we get too further, I do want to say, give a shout out to our good listener, Eric, from the Double Loop podcast. Eric came all the way from Phoenix and met us for dinner in our lovely city of Boise, Idaho, and just to meet us. He flew all the way from Phoenix to here. Actually, I think he took a boat.
He actually met you guys for dinner. I just drank beer like fucking lush and didn't eat anything.
Yeah, exactly. It was good beer. So I want to say hi to Eric. Thanks for coming out and meeting us. We had a really good time. We got to talk about a lot of bad movies. If you remember, Eric was the one who about a month or two ago wrote us an email about a film called The Voyage of the Rock Aliens with Pia Zadora that I am desperate to get my hands on, and I cannot freaking find it. So thanks, Eric. And definitely check out his podcast. It's called the Double Loop Podcast. It's not like our podcast at all. It's actually a real crime science. It's like a CSI type podcast where he's a forensic scientist.
Yeah, he probably has to say things on the podcast like, don't believe anything you see on CSI.
Right, exactly. So I checked out a couple episodes. It's pretty interesting. I will disclaimer, it's definitely geared towards people in the industry. It's very educational. So if you actually want to go deeper beyond podcasts like Serial or My Favorite Murder, a little deeper in how all that shit works, check it out. Double Loop Podcast. It's on SoundCloud. All right, Sam, what have you got to thrill me with?
Thrill you?
Yeah, thrill me.
So everybody gets to dive into the chaotic attic echo chamber that is my brain. Because I've been compiling notes like on the Star Wars shit for a long time.
It's funny that you call your brain an echo chamber, because every time I yell in your ear, it echoes. Just there's nothing in there. Sing.
Woo.
Not.
Yeah, when the ladies do the blow in my ear sexy, it whistles out the other side.
Tongue of a basset hound.
Oh.
What does Lloyd Bridges have in his ear? He
I
could
don't
stick
remember.
the entire cloth through his ears. It's like cellophane or something inside of there, because he got blown out and his eardrums got blown out in
Exactly.
AM.
He's been blown up 1,700 times, and he's all made of bionic parts. And so, yeah, I've got, it's a bit a little chaos, but I compiled notes on Star Wars over a 2-year period, and then the Endgame shit I just kind of ran through the more inconsistent tones.
Okay, all right.
Because there's, you could honestly, I think, spend 2 hours just mulling over, this is this now, and it's not that great. You know, it's just whatever.
You're talking about Endgame.
Endgame, yeah.
Yeah.
Endgame there's despite some of its finer points, its inconsistencies are thick.
Very. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And its plot holes. And its problems for somebody the other day I saw on Twitter was like, what about people in jail that were in prison during the snap and then 5 years later they come back? Is it time served? Do they get that 5 years knocked off?
We'll get there.
Yeah.
That'll be the end.
There's lots of problems with the time travel thing.
The time. Well, this time travel will come up in the middle of this chunk of here, and then we'll save the finger snap for last.
Okay, all right.
But we'll start with characters.
Characters.
Captain America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody's fave.
Why is he having so many problems with his loss? This is like his second rodeo on this shit, right?
He's having so many problems with his what?
With the loss.
Oh, of
like him and Black Widow seem to be taking it the worst.
Right. They're very hard up on. He's in a self-help group. Like he's basically fucking Cornelius in Fight Club. He's like, I have mental problems now, and I need to be around others that are also feeling as shitty as I do. Everybody else is just going to work.
Yeah, he's like, oh, my whole life is gone. Well, actually, that happened before, and then some other people that I met and then got into an argument with are gone now, so I'm even more sad.
Right.
Wait, no, that first time probably was a little bit more fucked up.
Yeah, he knew the people, like his mom's gone. And his dad's gone, and his brother's gone, and Bucky's gone, and everybody that he ever met and worked with and loved, and Peggy Carter's gone, the love of his life. Yeah. He gets pulled out of a freaking ice cube and stuck in liquid goo phase, and he's like, let's kick some ass.
Yeah, he's like, no, my new bros are gone. I'm gonna really drag some ass now.
I sort of knew them. I'm not even sure what freaking Falcon's last name is.
Yeah. So that's one inconsistency. And I think the major inconsistency with Captain America is everything in Captain America at a certain point, especially in his main storyline movies, is everything's for Bucky. Bucky.
Right.
Gotta do Bucky. Here's my shield, Sam.
Right. And Bucky's standing in the background.
He's like over there.
Like,
I don't have any more movies on my deal, I guess.
Metal arm plus metal shield? That seems like it's going to work pretty good. I mean, you've seen me catch that thing out of midair. When have you even seen Falcon fucking touch it?
He doesn't. He's not even good at jogging. As is prefaced in one of the Captain Americans.
Right.
You're going to be Captain America. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not. I'm just a guy.
I just got a jetpack.
In fact, I'm surprised I'm not dead yet. Because if you've seen my fucking shit, it's dangerous.
Right.
I am flying around in a tank top. I should be dead.
Have you ever seen an internet video of a person with a jetpack? They all explode. They end in explosion. I, for one, am totally okay with the Sam Wilson Captain America, because that run that they did of 2 years ago where Cap gives the shield to Sam Wilson and the internet fucking lost its shit because, oh my God, Captain America's with Hydra. Meanwhile, some of the best writing that Marvel's ever done is about a black guy being Captain America and the backlash against that. Give up the shield. It's not yours. And, you know, he's in the streets fighting, impoverished neighborhoods. Dude, that shit is fucking fantastic. And I hope that they don't fucking puss out on that. And I hope that they confront the racism that film will 100% have to face.
No, I love the fact. Actually, in the Bucky run of Captain America, I barely got through any of that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Sam Wilson run's great. I like Sam Wilson better. It's just that, like, nice switcheroo.
Yeah, they
I
did.
Guess.
They did not set that up in the least.
The one thing that does remain consistent is his love of Peggy Carter,
of Sharon Carter's mom.
She's like, oh, I made out with your daughter.
Yeah.
Wait, oh my God, he made out with his own daughter. Oh, fuck. Oh, no. That's the only way that happens.
He pulled a fucking Fred Ward.
Yeah, dude, that's gross. That's why she has blonde hair.
Right.
Yucky.
It's a little old boy for you, Cap.
That's why you don't get time travel involved, right? Ruined the Ninja Turtles franchise with Turtles in Time, and here he is with Titties in Time. Titties in Time.
Oh my god.
Yeah, isn't that just disgusting?
That's awful.
Yeah, that's about the worst that you can get with Captain America.
Right.
Let's move on to Thor's problem.
Yeah. Fat Thor.
Fat Thor. Been alive for 1,500 years. These last 5 years are rough. I am fat now.
I mean,
can you even get fat?
if you're an Asgardian, well, there's
fat
Volstagg.
No, I think that you can get fat if you're Asgardian. Can you get fat if you're Thor?
What would be
'Cause
the
he's-
difference between Thor and, say,
He's a little bit
Volstagg?
Isn't he like, prime cut for Asgardians?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's got some pretty good genetics, as it were, but I think he still has to work out. Like, he's up there fighting frost giants all the goddamn time.
Sure.
That's some good exercise. You just go to frickin' Norway and sit there and eat fish and beer. You're probably gonna, I don't know if he's gonna get that fat. He was pretty fat.
He was pretty fat. And
But-
it was funny. I'm not going to lie.
It was definitely the theater's favorite when we went and saw the constant. I thought it got a little tired at the end where people kept looking at his belly. It was like, okay, the first 30 minutes of the movie, fine. We're here 2.5 hours later and people are still like, dude, Thor, seriously, you're fat.
You are fat, Thor. You have a velour jumpsuit, though, because they are comfortable.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he has to be fat just because she needs to be less powerful than Captain Marvel.
Right.
That's the only reason he's fat. He's
Right.
not fat for any other
Right.
reason. And you know what? Without an Infinity Gauntlet, Fat Thor will still fuck Thanos up.
Right.
And
yeah.
he doesn't.
Right.
Like they
Well,
have.
he chops his head off.
Oh, no, that's before he's Fat Thor.
Correct. True.
That's just normal Thor, pissed off, cutting a guy's head off.
right.
Yeah. At the end, Thanos doesn't have any Infinity Stones.
True.
And Thor's just too fat to fight him
Right. Right. Until
with a god-killing weapon.
true. Two of them, actually.
Two of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. He got real fucked up off that deal, whereas those post-Ragnarok, half of his people being killed on a spaceship, he did fine
He did
with.
fine.
He did fine
He
with
was a
that.
little grumbly, and he gets on a spaceship with the Guardians and starts slinging fucking mustard back and forth with Star-Lord. Like, yeah, everybody's dead that I've ever met, but hey, I'm still fucking Thor.
Still Thor.
But snap in half the universe people that you've never met. And sure, yeah, there's some hang-ups there, but he's gone like beyond Cap in grief.
Oh yeah, no, he's almost too far gone.
He's
Like,
almost too far. They almost can't get him back.
They need an intervention.
Right.
He's that drunk, and he's a guy who drank beer all day before this.
He beat up frost giants with his giant beer mug and
Yeah.
didn't spill a drop.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. When did his powers include suiting up?
What do you mean? Like,
So I think somewhere.
like Iron Man, he pushes a button and his
no, he just
stupid
like,
armor comes on.
It's time for a battle, and Thor just is now dressed as Thor, Battle Thor.
Battle Thor. Okay.
Yeah, his armor appears now, and I think it was in Avengers Infinity War that started. Like, he's the God of Thunder. He can actually fly by himself now. He shoots lightning, takes the power of a whole sun, and he can just make his costume appear whenever he wants.
Right. What was he doing before? Just like, hold on, going in, and then he goes in the bathroom and spends.
He was either wearing it or he wasn't. We didn't get to see that part. There wasn't a
right.
phone booth, right?
Exactly.
And they got to a point where they needed a phone booth, and they're like, fuck it, we're just going to use a cut.
Skip the phone booth.
He just looks up, and there's some lightning, and it puts his clothes on for him.
It's very to bring in a little sprinkle of Game of Thrones. It's very end of season 6 where Varys is in Dorne, and then in the next shot he's on a fucking boat in Essos. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. It's just like, no, what? No, Thor can't just suddenly have clothes on. He's fat Thor. Why does he have to put on the cape anyways if he's fat? Fat people love being comfortable. Sure, he's going to still kick a little ass, but why not do it in PJs?
Meanwhile, Louis Vuitton's watching. He's like, costume powers, that's OP. Clint Barton's problem.
Right. My problem.
Yeah, his family got killed in front of him. That sucks
Pretty
really
not
bad.
cool. Well,
so
he,
he
like-
should go off the edge.
Yeah.
But my problem with his off the edge is that it results in an MMA haircut with Tude.
Right, and suddenly, now I get it because I thought Ronan was a really fucking cool character.
I like Ronan too.
But they didn't utilize it. They didn't justify it. He's just upset about his family, so he goes and takes on the Yakuza. That's what his name. I'm so mad. I must take on the Yakuza. When I've never had any interest in Japanese mafia before. Suddenly, the only therapy I can have is getting some of those guys that chop off fingers.
Yeah, he likes rice balls, so he figured he'd hit two birds with one stone. Go over to Japan, get some of those. Right. They also have panties and vending machines, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I guess there is that. You can always, anytime your family gets turned into ash or whatever they got turned into, your first thought is, ladies on tables with vegetables over their privates and smelly panties.
Oh, you can do that in Pasadena now.
You can get
naked people,
naked
sushi in
planking
Pasadena.
Butt food.
Yep.
Okay, how about that? Congratulations, Pasadena, you've made it.
You have to where I'm not sure. Dystopia, most likely.
Right, most likely. It gets pretty warm down there. Those people are,
Dr. Stephen Strange's problem.
Uh-huh.
In this movie, he's really just a waiter for fan service.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
He's like, oh, you guys are having a rough time fighting Thanos, even though the three of you would just kick his ass so bad without a fucking Infinity Gauntlet.
Right.
Wait, it's me, Stephen Strange, and I've brought all of the people from all of the other movies. Here they are on a silver platter.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Here, tip me on the way out.
Uh-huh.
And then every time you see him after that, he's just in slow motion, silent talking to you.
Right.
Or once to Tony Stark.
Right.
Thanos, without an Infinity Gauntlet, would get his ass kicked by Doctor Strange.
Right.
He would be just like sitting there hypnotized, making boom boom in his pants. He would be mentally destroyed and shitting himself.
Right, because Thanos' only thing is he's big and strong. That's it.
Like, he could go toe-to-toe with most of not any of the people in this movie.
Spider-Man would be a good fight. Spider-Man versus Infinity Gauntlet less Thanos.
Yeah.
I think that could go toe-to-toe.
He's probably just a little bit faster than the Hulk, so we might be able to get a hold of him a few times.
But not as strong, obviously.
It's going to be one of those situations where Spider-Man's speed, and he's quite strong versus that speed.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to get... Maybe it's going to be a fun one to watch, but eventually in round 10, Spider-Man's going to get him.
Yeah, he's going
to get him.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel's problem. My biggest problem.
Right, is that she does not appear in this film. Like we were told. But Captain Marvel, the movie, was like, dude, she's going to be such a fucking big deal in the next one. And sure, the final battle sequence, she blows up a lot of shit with her powers. She's not in the fucking movie, though. She's in it less than fucking Batman was in his own fucking movie. But she's at the front end, and she's like, hey, guys, I'm Captain Marvel. And they're like, oh, yeah, we know from the post-credit sequence at the end of your movie who you are, but really, in context of anything, we're just going to skip all that in this movie and just be like, oh, yeah, you've always been here. You've always been around, because Marvel wasn't fucking bullshit about their fucking franchise 10 years ago and waited fucking 10 years to get a fucking female lead but now they've done that, so we're just going to retcon the entire thing and pretend you've always been around. And then she goes into space and disappears.
Oh, that's the question. What was she doing the first time around with this Thanos business? Because she says the universe is a big place full of problems. This is the biggest one it has.
It's the biggest one it has.
If you had any radar at all, this guy would be on it.
You are flying around, even if you're like, fuck Earth, I'm one of the most powerful beings in the universe. I can basically do whatever. I'm OP. I'm flying around. I've probably been to Nowhere once. And you know what? Nowhere is like the fucking Mos Eisley Cantina. It's a hub of info of what's going on around the fucking universe.
Thanos goes
and
there.
At one point, Thanos came by and fucking killed the fucking, not the Grandmaster, that was Jeff Goldblum, Benicio del Toro's character, the Collector. hey, so what happened to that collector guy? I heard Thanos came and stole this fucking Infinity Stone. What? I should probably do something about that. No, she's just like fucking brokering DMV type shit like fucking Jupiter's Ascending lady is.
No, Snarf got lost again on
Right.
Fundera.
Right.
She's helping with that or
right.
something. Right?
Skeletor's up to it again.
Hey, what the fuck? Also, she fights Thanos without an Infinity Stone, and he kind of like holds. She would smash him in
She
like
just
half a
would
second.
go right through him.
He would die if she punched him.
Right. Or shot him a dirty look. Oh!
Yeah. Which leads me to Thanos' problem.
Uh-huh.
He's a lot fucking tougher without that Infinity Gauntlet.
Kind of seems that way.
Doesn't need it for one bit.
Well, I mean, he needs it for one
bit,
but
but
not to take on the entire MCU.
Yeah. Well, he ends up getting his head cut off when it works, so.
I mean, he just kind of was sitting there. He just kind of was hanging out like, I don't really care. What's one more
He's got some
loss?
jackfruit, and he was going to eat it, I guess, but
Right.
then his head came off.
Right.
Infinity Stones problem.
Mm-hmm.
If they can be destroyed, they're not very infinite.
No. They're
Yeah,
not.
They're not really Infinity Stones.
Unless there's some sort of time travel bullshit where you enter in by wishing away the Infinity Stones, you've entered into some infinity loop that creates its own alternate reality. All what was that? The reboot that they did a few years ago.
Adam Warlock bullshit?
No. With the Marvel planet, wherever the Earth gets blinked out of the eye, basically, and to retcon some stuff and bring in the diversity, they launched a new. God, I can't remember what it was. It was called like Marvel World or something, and Doctor Doom is God essentially, and some good stories where it came out of there, but. Sort of like that. Maybe
Sure.
it just it can you can either create nor destroy energy, so you can only transfer it. And then the Infinity Stones get transferred to another reality.
I
You wish
guess.
them away.
You can't even really do that because they're supposed to be the basis for our reality. So by destroying them, you would
Good point.
tear apart the fabric of the galaxy and kill everyone, not just half of the universe and the Infinity Stones. They wouldn't exist. And if they could be destroyed, anyone that got their hands on them, like the second guy would break it. He'd be
Right.
like, this is too much power. Even in one, you're gone.
Right. I get all of what I want, and I don't want anybody else to
Yeah.
ever use this again. It's fucking Aladdin's lamp. You make the 3 wishes. Well, you make the 2 wishes and then wish for 1,000,000 more wishes. And then fucking the genie says, how about I shove my fucking fist up your ass? And you're like, okay, I'll just stick with the last wish then. Then you fucking bury that fucking lamp.
Yeah.
See, because you don't want anybody else to ever find it.
No, you break it.
Wait,
Just
I don't
fucking
think you
break it.
can break the lamp. I think it's indestructible. That's the genie's
Or-
house, dude. It's kind of a dick move.
He might find another lamp because the lamp is actually kind of bullshit. It's just the genie.
Right.
It's magic. So
Right.
that's the one you got to watch out for.
Right, but the genie's in the lamp, so
Sure.
you bury it.
There you go.
Yeah,
So
but
no
you
one
don't
else
want
can find it.
At the end of the day, you don't want anybody else finding it. It's not like you go, "Hey, dude, check this thing out, man. I made 3 wishes and now I got titties in my face all day."
Yeah. Speaking of titties in the face, Black Widow's problem.
Uh huh.
This is a short one. The series has simultaneously showcased and marginalized her for so long, I don't even know who the hell she is anymore.
Got no clue.
She seems pretty fucked up over the deal, though, right? Like,
Very-
she's very sad, but
I
it's
kind of
like-
think I think it's because hers all. Maybe you can argue me why I'm okay with it. Is I don't think that her character grief was actually about the people at all. It was that they lost. That she
Yeah.
has never lost in her entire life. All she does is win, 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 win. She's like fucking Charlie Sheen. Remember that, guys? And that's where her pain
Yeah.
is coming from. I got my ass kicked.
And I think Thor's was too, but still, it's either way. Like, I don't have a problem with her grief, to be honest, in the movie at all.
Uh-huh.
I have a problem with what the fuck? This is like in your whole series of movies. This is the person that's been in the fucking most of them,
Right.
other than maybe
Other than
Iron
Tony,
Man.
yeah.
And it's like she doesn't even have her own movie until after she's dead.
Right.
There's some cowardice.
Right.
And it's not
absolutely,
like
man.
Scarlett Johansson isn't going to put butts in
Yeah,
seats.
no, we're not gonna. That's not gonna work.
She could just stand there and
Brie
shake
Larson,
around.
like, dude, I think Brie Larson's fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but before Captain Marvel, it was like, oh, Brie Larson. Oh, yes, Brie Larson. And then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I only saw Room. That's the only thing I've ever seen Brie Larson in. Scarlett Johansson is Hollywood goddamn royalty.
She's also hot as fuck.
She's also really good looking.
Yeah.
But she puts butts in seats.
In seats.
No, I mean, again, I'm not taking a goddamn thing away from Brie Larson, but it's not exactly like your fucking dad would know who she is.
She's not Scarlett Johansson.
She's not Scarlett Johansson. Come on, Marvel.
Hulk's problem. Like, the whole problem with the Hulk comic series is if Banner's brain could be in the Hulk's body, he'd basically be God.
Right.
Like, or I guess not.
Right, or not.
Or not. Now he's kind of
He's just a sandwich guy.
He's a funny guy.
He's a funny little guy.
Can't type because he's got sausage fingers.
Hey, kids.
Hey kids, look, I need a bigger keyboard again. I'm the most powerful and smartest guy ever.
That's funny because that's actually a pretty good Mark Ruffalo you just did.
Thank you. Yeah. Scarlet Witch's problem. You can't get any more of a problem than that with the Hulk, right? Like, you can't go any far. Like, that's as bad as you can fuck up, to be honest. Scarlet Witch, what does she do exactly?
What is her bag, baby? Because obviously we know that she's got hex powers in the comics. And then she's got serious reality warp. She basically is an Infinity Stone before she dies.
Yeah.
But here she's just a great person to have at a rave.
She does whatever.
But none of it's very powerful.
Well, no, she's the only person that kicks Thanos' ass one-on-one in this movie.
Sort of.
She's about to kill him.
Sort of.
Because now she has, like, Sue Storm powers.
Right.
Like, that's the thing, is that it does whatever it needs to do when she decides to do it, and it's red.
Right.
That's her power.
Yeah. And
is anything plus red.
And sometimes it's not very powerful, and then other times it's, like, super powerful.
Super powerful.
Dude, you probably need to hone this a little bit. Spend some time in the fucking danger room, with Professor X. You need to go to mutant school, lady.
You do. Or maybe just tell one of us what it is.
Right, or do that.
Just like, what is it that you do here?
I have the power over all reality. Wait, what? What? You do? Maybe do something about Thanos. Maybe. Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. If only I told you guys earlier what my powers were.
You can Infinity Gauntlet by yourself just because you're sad? Yeah. Fuck.
Could have saved a lot of time, lady.
Yeah. And I guess even though you could have just taken the stone out of Vision, Paul Bettany was too expensive this time around, so I guess she's pissed about that.
Yeah,
she's got that to be pissed about, right?
Right.
Problems with dystopia. Half the people are gone, not 90%. It's been 5 years and no one's picked up any shit. Like, there's cars everywhere.
Absolutely.
Like, little primpling folks. Like, all of a sudden, like, people probably have houses now. Like,
right.
The problem with Thanos and what makes him a good villain in the first one is that on a certain level, he makes sense. That's what makes the evil hard to deal with. So when you have this dystopia that he created, it's not going to be like, oh, we just don't know what to do anymore. No, it's been 5 years. You guys have cleaned up.
It's not a fucking PA movie.
Yeah.
There's no anarchy. The fucking global economy didn't collapse and mankind ends up killing itself. The nukes didn't fly. Nothing like that.
No.
It's just everybody's a little poopy.
Everyone's sad, and 5 years later, they haven't picked up at all.
They haven't picked up at all, which is... I run into this in Fallout a lot when I'm playing Fallout 4. It's 200 years after the bombs fell, and there's fucking no trees. The trees don't have any goddamn leaves. There's trash everywhere. And it's like, no, people don't do... It is in our natural... It's like instinct. We do two things. Fucking clean. That's what we do. I have nobody's at my door right now saying, dude, you got to clean your house. It's not like we have the cleaning police. I don't even have guests that come over to my house. The only person I'd have to impress with the cleanliness of my house is you. And I don't really give a shit. But I still clean my house because it bothers me to have trash laying around. People would clean up their goddamn shit.
Plus, in the other half of this equation, the grieving period, but then all of a sudden, everybody has all this shit now.
Yo, dude, we got a ton of shit right now.
That's, like, instead the Black Widow's at headquarters, and she's talking to War Machine. She's like, okay, what's the sit rep? And he's like, yeah, I found a kid who's 13. He has 2 houses. One of them has fiber. So,
like Google Fiber?
He had 3rd-degree burns on his penis, and his wrist is broken. He's been jacking off all day. Those are the things you're going to run into in this new dystopia, is that, like, some kid now has a 4-bedroom job on the internet still turned on, and he's like, oh, boy.
I'm going to do it everywhere.
There's not enough Vaseline on the planet.
He's the only one that is not cleaning up. I mean, his wiener is very polished. But
time travel.
Time fucking travel.
So Back to the Future is bullshit, right? They say this. They're like, you can't do that. None of these things work. Don't you know anything about quantum physics? Well enough for dinner conversations. Same with the writers. Yeah. Fast talking, you can't do any of that. This isn't how it works.
Explained in a sentence that I really didn't understand.
Yeah. Wait, I figured out the quantum streams won't collapse in the Heisenberg chaos bridge if we fluctuate relative gravitational wave emitters on a subquantum level. So it's a flux capacitor? Yes, Back to the Future 4. Fuck yeah. Because they just do everything they say they can't do.
Exactly.
Everything that they can't do, they just do it, and it's Back to the Future 4.
Isn't there a point where somebody starts to fade away? Not literally like fade away like Michael J. Fox with the guitar, but like, isn't there like a... hey, you changed history, now that person doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, and the karma happens and you make out with your own daughter, as it turns out.
Right.
Because you're Captain America and that's where she fucking came from.
Right, but you can't do that because the explanation that you just said was Back to the Future's bullshit, even though the film is exactly that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised somebody doesn't travel into the future and fucking see Leah Thompson with some huge cans.
Her daughter is like Leah Thompson with huge cans now.
Yeah, you just see, what's her name? Chloe Sevigny. No, that's a different person.
That's a different lady.
I can't remember.
Would have sex with her.
Oh, Zoe Deutsch.
Zoe Deutsch.
Yeah.
She's a little top heavy.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
She falls over. Very slender.
Which then will lead us to the mega bad ending.
Yeah.
So you could have proven Thanos wrong by stopping him in the first movie, but now that you just put everybody back without changing any time, and 5 years later you have restuffed the universe with life that its ecosystem had rebalanced without.
Cannot support.
Now Thanos is exactly right.
He's boom shakalaka, you fucking dumbasses.
You fucking dumbasses. People are eating each other.
Exactly. There's no food. There's massive famines everywhere. You got those prison people that we still aren't real clear on how that works. But that's the problem with the Infinity War and why the first one is so good, because you are left with this quandary of, is Thanos right?
Yeah.
And that's the best anybody's done a superhero villain where you feel weird inside, like maybe the supervillain's right. He's got extremely good motivation, which is usually a flaw in superhero movies. It's just, I'm bad because I was told I was bad, or I'm telling you I'm bad, so therefore I'm the bad guy. But Thanos is a great fucking character in the first one, and you don't see him being wrong. It seems like in the second one, he's still right, and you get 5 years of Thanos world, and you fuck over the entire universe because you feel sad about people that you miss. Every man dies, not every man truly lives.
Yeah.
Valar Morghulis.
The entire universe is thrust into chaos because Tony Stark loves his daughter that much.
Right. I mean, the Avengers kind of suck, dude. You did the one thing you couldn't do. You made the universe worse than when you came into it.
Also, you have just the minor things when people are coming back, like, you remarried? Yeah.
Who are you talking about?
Like 5 years later, I'm back alive, and your wife is now married to Steve.
Right.
Or
right.
You go to your house, and it's now a 13-year-old kid, and
covered in semen.
Covered in semen. He's actually had a wrist replacement. He's got a bionic wrist now.
He's got a Bucky arm.
He's got a Bucky arm, and he is working it. It's like, this thing came from Wakanda.
Energy absorption.
Not semen absorption.
No,
they need to work. They got
shorted it out a few times.
It's they got some kinks to work out.
If you short out your robot arm while you're jerking it, it's probably bad things are going to happen to your wiener. Like, if
you're jerking it with a robot arm, it might come off.
Right, it might come off, or it's going to get crushed, or something terrible.
My biggest problem with the whole thing. Why the fuck doesn't Happy get a goddamn super suit?
Right.
I wanted Fat Guy Robot Man.
Fat Guy Robot Guy would have been great.
That, it'd be the ending that I liked that everyone else hated and they only made $10. Is like nobody can beat up Thanos because I guess he's tougher now without the Infinity Gauntlet in the past. And then all of a sudden, Jon Favreau's like, cannonball! And he Fat Guy cannonballs on Thanos and smashes him. That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
What did you do? I did a triple Lindy. Nice!
Why didn't we think of that?
No, you can't be the triple Lindy. That's true. Like, fuck, goddamn you, Dangerfield.
And then they'd have a toga party afterwards.
Yeah, no, they need to do the triple Lindy at the end of every movie, which thus ends my bitching about the inconsistencies.
All right, give me a 1 to 10 star, Sam. Where are you at on Infinity or Endgame?
Oh, a 1 to 10 stars? 7.
Oh man, I thought you were going to go a little bit lower than that.
No, because for how bad of a movie it is, it finishes this grand thing anyway with enough of an emotional tone that you just haul past.
My
all
father-in-law
this shit.
cried when Tony died. He cried in the theater when Tony Stark died. Like, dude, it was kind of lackluster. I mean, like, I felt pretty none emotion when Tony died. I mean, I like that he was fried. You know, he couldn't say anything. I thought that the scene was shot well and handled well, but it wasn't like Tony, because we all knew that Tony Stark was gonna die. We all knew.
He's the guy that makes the
writing
play.
Was on the fucking wall in 4 years ago.
Avengers 1.
Right.
And for me, it wasn't like I didn't have my choke up moment. I didn't really get real choked up about it, but I had my like the hair stand up, or like you get that little gulp where you're like, oh, it wasn't when he was dying. It was that when he said, I'm Iron Man, and he made the fist, because you saw in his eyes, he did a really good job with that part. You saw in his eyes that he was killing himself.
Right.
And I was like, ooh, that's good.
Yeah, other than the predictability of it, and some asshole that was sitting next to us said, like loud, like, I'm Iron Man. He's going to say I'm Iron Man. Fucking shut up! Stop talking in the theaters!
There also was a point where Doctor Strange in slow motion was like, Tony, now is the time. It's right now. That's the guy.
Shut up!
Shut up! Wait, you're in the movie. Down in front, Doctor Strange.
Right. No. I didn't like it as much as you, Sam. I'm going to give it 6. Like, I thought it was a massive disappointment. Yeah. I mean, and it's funny that we're now talking about it because this week it got dethroned from the number 1 spot finally because of John Wick 3.
Nice.
Yeah. But here's the thing. It made zillions on its first 2 weekends and now has dropped below 57, which means that it doesn't have the Jimmy Cam repeat viewing quality. People aren't going back and seeing it again and again and again and again. The entire world saw it one time and has walked away from it. It's still got an incredibly high user rating on IMDb, but I just found it flat. Like, it was predictable. It was fan service over and over and over and over again. And don't get me wrong, ending it well, the odds weren't good.
No.
I mean, we all now know that ending a show or a franchise is pretty tough to do. To get it right and make everybody happy. I kind of think that they went out and tried to make as many people as they could happy. But if anybody was going to do the impossible and have a really solid ending, all of Breaking Bad or something like that, it was going to be them, because the first Avengers shouldn't have worked. It shouldn't have been good, and it was truly good.
Yeah.
Like, it was a surprise, like, what? This worked?
The first Iron Man working was amazing.
The first Iron Man it was amazing, but that's a solo in case piece. We've had good comic book movies before. It was just a surprise that Marvel finally did one right.
Oh, and then Iron Man was because that was like everybody going, that's not the one to do first.
Yeah.
And it turns out it was.
And then Infinity War, I thought, was an impossible achievement, because the ability for them to provide maintain continuity with as many fucking crews as they had on working on that, and that it was exciting and well paced. It shouldn't have existed. It shouldn't have worked. It's too big of a project, and they did it. So you know what? Maybe they're going to get the ending right, and they didn't. So just because of I hate to throw a single movie under the bus, but it's not a single movie. It's 20 fucking movies.
Yeah, that's why I gave it a 7 and not a 6.
Right.
Is that, like, it's by itself not very good. It is inconsistent. It betrays its own writing from its predecessors a bunch, but it didn't fuck up as bad as it could have, and you could have really fucked that thing up.
Yeah, they could have. It could have been totally worse, but I just, it was a disappointment massively to me. So.
I have an analogy later for when we get to our conclusions about the full scope of these other things that we're going to talk about.
All right, let's get into Star Wars here.
The Force Awakens. We'll start with casting.
Mm-hmm.
Who else are you going to get to play Lor Santeca? I mean, who the fuck could you really get to actually encompass the emotional tone in a character like Lor Santeca? You can't give that to anybody. That's why it's like when
Who's Lor Santeca?
You see Max Van Sydow out there.
Oh, it's Max Van Sydow.
You're like, oh my God, this is the only guy we could have ever got that would do this right. He's the only actor we could cast to get shot in a bathrobe so fast you didn't even know he was there. I didn't even know he was fucking there. Why does he even have a fucking name?
Why at all?
I'm really glad that they got Gwendolyn Christie, Captain Phasma.
Right. Wow, boy.
It's really refreshing.
Pay off.
Yeah, it's really refreshing to see positive choices in alternate beauty being cast as a talking chrome tube that falls into a hole and dies in the second movie.
Whoa! Well, man, I'm really glad she was around for that.
Yeah.
What?
Remember the internet being on fire like, Captain Phasma.
Right. I'm like, who? The chrome stormship? Why the fuck did that even exist?
I guess if it's sunny out, she's gonna like hurt your eyes.
Right, yeah. She's
maybe
like
she's harder to hit.
Perseus's shield against the fucking Medusa.
The only stormtrooper in the universe that has armor that does something.
Right. Yeah, no, she sucked.
We'll round out the cast with Dom Hall Gleason as not Graham Moff Tarkin.
Right.
Adam Driver as not Darth anything but a new name anyway.
Uh-huh.
Andy Serkis as the talking potato that has stolen Diana Ross's prom dress. Daisy Ridley as Lady Hero. John Boyega as the ethnic choice.
Right. We all love John Boyega, right, guys? Right?
Oscar Isaac
Finn
as...
sucks. I'm sorry. I fucking hate Finn.
Who is he?
John Boyega.
I know, but
Right.
I can say that about any character in these movies.
Why does he exist?
Who was that guy?
Right.
The main characters, you're like, who's that again? This is the second movie, and I really don't even know who these people are. Oscar Isaac as Flying Party Boy.
Right.
And returning cast members, Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Anthony Daniels, and the late, great, and sorely missed Peter Mayhew as our ruined childhood.
Right. Now, I liked the second one. It's stupid.
The second one has Megaforce in it.
It's basically Megaforce, and that I ironically liked it.
Yeah, I don't like it because it's good. I just like Megaforce.
Right.
But I'm like, you guys really fucked this one up.
Oh man, it's borderline episode bad. It's not George Lucas bad, because when George Lucas gets it wrong, boy, he gets it wrong, and it's almost unviewable.
Yeah.
I really had a great time with it. I was laughing and clapping. The first one, I was like, I don't give a fuck about this shit, and I'm sitting in a basement covered in Star Wars Legos toys. Like, I've got arguably $3,000 worth of Legos sitting here, all dedicated to Star Wars. I kind of was a fanboy there for a while, and The Force Awakens made me go, you know what? I don't think I like this anymore.
It was 10 minutes in, I started to get like popcorn mouth, and I was like, I've already seen this, right?
Right.
This is just the same movie, but it doesn't have any actual storytelling. It's just rehashes of the scenes that we liked.
Homages.
That's not a movie.
No, where are you at on the third one, Sam? Because it's this year. You saw the trailer at the beginning.
Well, it looks like the third one has to retcon everything that the last two did.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they're just going to bring back the Emperor because they don't know what the fuck else to do.
They don't know what the fuck else to do. I'm fucking jacked for it, though, man. I thought it was a really strong trailer. Yeah. And again, I was kind of like, I don't think I like Star Wars anymore, guys. I don't think I'm a fan. And now I'm kind of like, I get that old feeling like before the prequels, when you hear the sound and the fucking Star Wars comes in from the fucking what is that? It's not a it's
the
before
crawl?
The crawl. But what's that when you that transition where you
shoot the
it zooms out from you.
Zooms out from you, or
but the
zooms
object goes away from you.
You know what I do? It's called a blow up when it comes at you. And I don't remember what it's called when it goes away.
Blow out? Blow down?
It was probably a blowout's what I did to your toilet about an hour ago.
Yeah, but when you hear that, you get the hairs on the back of your neck. Yeah. I didn't at Force Awakens. I got it for every single prequel, knowing that I was going in to a bad movie, but I was going to see a spectacle. No matter what, George Lucas was a fucking spectacle. Whether he was a good storyteller, bad storyteller, definitely terrible at dialogue because he's never had a conversation with a real human. But the man can make a spectacle, and The Force Awakens was not that.
No, in fact, it actually failed to do one of the basic things that all of the Star Wars movies that Lucas made did, and give you a scope of the universe that you're in.
Right.
Especially the prequels, for all of their failings, made that galaxy big and diverse. And The Force Awakens happens, and you're like, so this isn't the military.
Oh, good.
They say that.
The teenagers are taking on the evil empire again, correct?
But they're not even the evil empire.
Right.
They're this new thing. This is like 12th Street gang war.
Right.
You don't even know if the government cares.
It's like, it may not even be a remake of A New Hope. It's more like a remake of Street Trash.
Yeah. This is West Side Story in space.
Yeah, right.
Only they made it suck.
We're going to get Jim Van Bebber in on the next one.
But they talk about it the whole time like, we can't get a true military response because they haven't done anything yet. Then they like blow up 7 planets, and I'm like, shouldn't that provoke a military response?
Right.
Like, isn't that enough, maybe? Is there a military? Right. What planets got blown up? Because I haven't seen any of this fucking Star Wars galaxy that I'm supposed to be in. I just see some people that I'm not sure who they are. I don't know if they're going to get shot in any second, because Max Van Sydow did not last long.
Right.
And then R2 doesn't work. Like, it's just, what is going on here?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of The Force Awakens.
Han Solo lost the Millennium Falcon.
True.
This one's going to bleed into the whole Han Solo that we have now, our now new Han Solo. So he went back to being a smuggler, but then lost the best smuggling ship in the galaxy in a parking lot somewhere. From the first films, I remember him being not all that great of a smuggler. From the new one, it turns out he wasn't even a smuggler at all. He meets Ben Kenobi and Luke Skywalker about 10 minutes after a non-fruitful misadventure with Woody Harrelson. He doesn't even really know Lando.
No, not really. Not really. They hung out one time.
He has 2 friends ever, and he shoots one of them.
Correct.
Then Star Wars starts.
Right.
Wow.
Yes.
Way to fuck up a character.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Oh, but God, again, in that fucking trailer for the new one, Billy fucking D, man. You fucking put Billy D in a movie, I'm going to be like, oh my God, you got some fucking brass ones because Billy D's not a very good actor.
Yeah.
And he's
No.
old as shit.
I'll fucking jump in with like tight bikini shorts if fucking Wedge Antilles shows back up. They have not been able, they've like apparently no amount of money will get that guy to come back.
Right. He's like, not
He's
a
like,
chance.
I got my own cop show right now, thanks.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, he's one of the ones that was successful afterwards.
Yeah, definitely.
Weird. Lightspeed.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty slow in the fastest ship in the galaxy when they needed to go to Alderaan, but it got faster in the past.
Right.
Towards the back end of the past, it got really fast, pretty much instantaneous. When the whiny baby got his arms and legs cut off, you can get there like right away. Right after that, but just before it took for fucking ever to get to Alderaan. So long, in fact, that Alderaan was blown up by the time they got there.
Right. You're
It was
absolutely right.
instantaneous.
Doesn't Obi-Wan go from fucking Coruscant to Mustafar?
In like this,
In
fast.
this, and Mustafar is in the Outer Rim.
Outer Rim. And then in the next chronological movie, which is the one I have some of the least amount of problems with, but still isn't very good, Rogue One, they're like, oh, there's a battle on planet Paradise. We should send the army, and they are there even faster. They are loaded, locked, and in a space battle in the blink of an eye.
But the fastest ship in the galaxy can't get from
it
fucking
takes a day and a half to get to Alderaan.
Tatooine to Alderaan. They're like,
They're not even that far apart.
they're mega hubs of, well, my understanding is Tatooine's a little bit on the outside, but it's not the Outer Rim by any
it's going
stretch of the imagination.
towards the Outer Rim to the center, so it's not that bad.
It's not that bad, whereas Alderaan's probably
Coruscant to Mustafar is a rough trip.
like, Coruscant to Mustafar is not, like, you gotta go through like 6 fucking jump gates probably.
Yeah. It's okay. It got real slow again.
Yeah.
When they needed to go to a casino for apparently no reason.
Right.
At all.
Right.
Because they go there they're going to get the thing from the guy and that's going to help none of that.
Did you say casino?
It's a casino.
Oh, right. I thought you meant Camino.
Camino, didn't that get blown up?
No, I don't think
know.
so.
But yeah,
Maybe
they have
it
to go
did.
to that casino to get the guy from Fear and Loathing. Because he's, cool. And he's going to help him beat the Empire or the First Order, who's not the Empire, because this is a street war. And when they get the secret stuff from him, they'll be able to win, but the light speed's too slow and they don't make it. And it doesn't matter anyway, because it wasn't going to work. But that's okay, because light speed can turn your ship into more of a weapon than the Death Star, provided that you don't forget to do it for the whole movie.
Right. Right. Jesus.
Fuck light speed.
Fuck Lightspeed.
Now I just have a series of questions.
Okay. I'll
For
do
you.
my- do my best.
Do your best to answer them. How much did the Death Star 3 cost and who paid for it?
Man, who paid for it's the bigger conundrum, because who paid for, well, I mean, how much did it cost? The first one cost. I mean, somebody broke it down, and I don't know what their equation was to come up with a number, but we got trillion, and then what's the thing after trillion?
A gazillion?
Gazillion,
Maybe.
and then there's a level after, like
There's
a
like
quintillion.
9 million or something like that.
Basically, the number that they had was there'd not be that money in the entire Star Wars universe. There would be no possible way to build the Death Star. It would cost too much.
It would break the economy.
It wouldn't. There's not even that much money. There's not that much money in the whole goddamn universe. There's not enough that much money. It's like 250 petazillion.
And the others, well, I mean, just in general with the Death Star, the canon isn't very much of it. Like when you look at the schematics, you're like, what's all this other stuff for?
What is all the other stuff for? You got a big tube that runs to a fucking magnifying glass.
Yeah.
Why? I guess maybe it has something to do with gravity. Like you got to make it round. Otherwise,
No, because remember in the Lucas approved first Star Wars book out that they borrowed X amount of, but not enough to actually pay the right guy that wrote that was better, the ones that wrote these new movies.
right.
There was that Star Destroyer that had AI, and it had the cannon from the Death Star on it.
Right. And at what point do you look at the Death Star as like, hey, we're the First Order, we're kind of new here. The Death Star was super powerful, could blow up planets and stuff. And then somebody raises their hand and says, yes, but the first one cost 250 quintillion million, and it was blown up by teenagers. Yes, but the second Death Star was blown up by tiny bears, sir. I mean, okay, all right. Maybe we shouldn't do the Death Star. Maybe we should try something else.
Yeah.
It's not working out.
Have you seen the new shiny costumes? Well, do those, do anything? Yeah, it's hard to see in the sun, and some of the beams glance off of it. Oh, the beams glance off of it? No, the armor is designed specifically to incinerate you if you're touched by anything.
Right.
Will Rey ever give up on capri pants? I hope not.
I hope not.
That's not really. That's a rhetorical
Yeah,
question.
of course. Sure.
Is kidnapping people and programming them for 20 years less expensive and more logistic than a clone army? Or is it easier than paying people?
What do you mean? Who's getting kidnapped?
That's how they make the stormtroopers for the First Order.
Oh, yeah. Right. Okay, I thought you were maybe talking about the Jedi, because kind of it's kidnapping as well. But
and programming for 20 years. But they only have so many of them, and they're
right,
Jedi.
Right.
That's actually more logistic than cloning. It probably isn't. They should just clone Jedis.
They should probably just clone Jedis.
They do. Darth Vader does in that video game.
Force Unleashed?
Force Unleashed,
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
Force Unleashed 2 is his clone.
Yeah.
I think. But then not really. I can't remember what happens with that. It was actually, the storylines in those were actually kind of cool.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Is it possible to care about people that you know nothing about?
Well, Captain America, obviously. Sure. Why? Yeah, I know nothing. I know nothing about a farmer in China, and I don't want him to. I want him to have a good time. I want him to have a good life.
That's good, but I don't want him to be in Star Wars 8 or 10 or whatever.
No, I don't want him to be Star Wars 8 or 10. But so you're just saying, do I care about strangers that are in Star Wars?
Yeah, everyone's a strange. I don't know I can never know these people because they just do stuff. They don't have real lives.
They're
or
not.
pasts.
They're
or
not.
anything.
They're not characters.
No.
They're props. They're lightsaber props. They're
Stand-ups.
whatever the lightsaber is attached to. That's what we are being delivered. The lightsaber has more character depth than anybody in the Star Wars universe.
After the events of The Last Jedi, are the First Order and the Resistance down to 7-on-7?
Ooh.
Because it seems like all the shit's gone now, and there's
Right.
5 on either side.
Right.
Everybody in the Resistance fits into the Millennium Falcon.
Arm wrestling tournament.
Everyone in the army fits in the Falcon.
Right.
It's not even a real army.
Right.
And the other people seem to be down to 1 Star Destroyer and some tanks.
It's probably just going to be like Game of Thrones as well, where all of a sudden, I guess I can't spoil anything, but at one point, somebody loses an army, a lot of them die, and then the next scene, their army's back to full size. They'll just do one of those. The next thing, there'll just be a bunch of people. Don't worry about that part.
Yes, this is another army we've raised, but those are mostly just farmers that you've turned into slaves. Yes, they will die fast, but they are an army.
Operation Human Shield.
Operation Human Shield of who? We're running out of people that are important. We're not going to lie about that either. There was some people that had some really interesting storylines, and it was oh, there's only how many episodes? We'll just kill that person. Just fucking kill. No, and him, you know what? Get them all out of here. Just fucking mow this whole forest down. We won't have to worry about it. Which then will bring me to I haven't seen Game of Thrones since season 3.
Right.
But I know exactly what it's...
I don't think you do.
The only thing, no matter how convoluted and how complicated it gets, the only thing it really says is don't hump your sister.
No, it doesn't.
No, it's hump your nephew instead.
No, it doesn't. No, you are very in the dark, man. You are very in the dark on where Game of Thrones went with shit. It wasn't ever about a Song of Fire and Ice. It was not about dragons versus zombies. It was about something else. And I don't know what's gonna happen tonight. It's tonight. You guys are gonna know tomorrow when you're listening to this. I don't know what's gonna fucking happen. The thing that I think that we all are on the same page of is at the end of the last episode. I think that's going to happen, but I got no clue who's going to sit on the Iron Throne.
Sure.
I will give them that. I have zero prediction who's sitting on the Iron Throne. And that's something to be said when there's only one episode left. And usually by this point in time, everybody's pretty confident on who's going to, in a normal show, like, say Breaking Bad, obviously, is Walter White going to become the king of the methamphetamines industry? Of course he is. He's too good at it. But here, the whole show was who is going to sit. It's a Game of Thrones. Who is going to win the Game of Thrones? I got nothing. And I don't think anybody really does.
No.
So
it seems like people are
good
pretty
job on that.
pissed about all their favorite people's unresolution, though.
Yeah, no, there's some bad character stuff for sure. I mean, hashtag last week and hashtag 1 million signatures on a petition. Go fuck you guys. Do not sign a petition like that. You're an asshole.
Or do. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter, but HBO's going to tell you to go eat shit. Are you
But they're not
fucking
even
kidding
going
me?
to tell you to go eat shit. They're be like, an internet petition? Why are you even telling me this?
Right.
They don't do. You can't do anything. Oh, we've got all the signatures for what?
Yeah.
You okay? Good job.
Oh, let's get them all back, guys. We wrapped shooting a fucking year ago. It only takes us 3 years to shoot a season of this crap because it's ludicrously expensive. But yeah, your signature people, come on in.
Well, it doesn't matter if even it's for Game of Thrones or something logistically impossible. It's like, we got the internet petition done on liking bananas. Go fuck yourself. It's a fucking internet petition.
It's an internet petition.
It's not even real.
It's not even real. Yeah.
Even
no.
if it was just for liking bananas, it wouldn't work.
Oh, it's just the saddest thing. It makes me feel bad for humankind, that internet petition. To quote somebody we all know and love, Jonah Ray. I'm assuming you didn't see Jonah Ray's Twitter deal. He took a lot of heat for what he said. Like, there was a long thread, and nobody's as good as Jonah Ray as throwing shade back to you, because he's very humble. He's a very humble guy. He's basically mini Joel. He's a good, genuinely good person who gets angry sometimes. And he said, now this was 2 days ago, he said almost 500,000 dorks who don't make stuff on their own believe entertainment should be done to their specific specifications. Exactly. Go to hell. You do not get to tell people how you want your art to be done. Your entertainment. Then go make it yourself. That shit pisses me off.
Go onto the internet and sign a petition.
Yeah, go on.
Because then you're wasting your own time and nobody else's.
I want a new season. Shut up. Go make your own shit. Enjoy other people's, the good and the bad. We wouldn't have a fucking podcast if entertainment was dictated by fucking fanboys.
If it wasn't only 10% good.
Right. God damn it, that shit makes me mad. Anyways.
So in conclusion, we have the Star Wars universe and what Disney's sort of done to us. I'm going to use the analogy of a car race. The Daytona 500, say.
Okay.
It seems like Marvel they didn't just finish the race, they won the race.
Yes.
The car was upside down and on fire when it crossed the finish line.
Yeah.
That's okay,
You win.
won the Daytona
You win.
500.
You don't even have to live through it to win. You just got to get across the finish line.
Yeah. The Star Wars people might have the car ready next year, but it's not looking good.
Next year, it's this year, man. It's all over in December, bruh.
I don't think that having the end of a trilogy that didn't start will work.
Right.
So I'm saying that the car isn't ready this time out. Maybe next trilogy will actually be a story.
Right. Okay.
Perhaps.
Right. They're still learning how to put spark plugs in.
Yeah.
Haven't got it out of the gate.
It's not a car yet.
We'll see if they can even get a driver.
They've got some ideas.
Yeah.
They've got, you know what there is? There's a lot of enthusiasm.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
People feel good about it. You know, you've already made 2 of these, right? And that they don't make any sense.
Right.
And that beyond that, they've done something worse. They've actually shit on half-assed decent movies. They've destroyed groundwork. It's like you didn't just build a shitty house in the neighborhood. you blew up the whole cul-de-sac. Fucking assholes.
I guess my Game of Thrones. Well, I'm not going to do it because it's tonight.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I want to. I'll reserve judgment until I know wrap the whole thing up.
Game of Thrones is just one day I'll watch it, but I'm not super pumped about it. Everyone that I hear bitches about is like it was just too much to try to do.
Yeah,
so I call it
big.
It's Mario Andretti. It leads for 200 laps and then shoots the engine out the ass end.
A little.
Yeah.
Boy, I mean, that's the thing is after R.R. Martin was done, like they ran out of R.R. Martin material. There is just this dive in quality as far as the writing. And yeah, I know. And again, you guys are like, they ruined Game of Thrones. This was R.R. Martin's plan from the start to spoil the books. He has said that HBO knows exactly what is happening, and that is what I told them to do, and they are doing what I told them to do. It's not, oh, you fucking threw George R.R. Martin's stuff in the trash. I guess I'll wait for his book. That is the book, you jackasses. Yeah. That is what George R.R. Martin is going to do. So, stop that. But I think that, like I say, just the quality of whoever's writing the show is so far away from the original source materials. Not as far as context and content, but as far as quality. My God.
There's also a point, too, where regardless of what I know is going on or what I don't know is going on, I could just tell that they were building an inverted pyramid. They were expanding so much that there wasn't any contraction that was possible.
Right, exactly.
And it's like, I quit at the end in the middle of season 3 because I was like, dude, you got to have 15 seasons to close out what you just started. You don't have 15 seasons, and this is season 3. And I guess they kept opening up doors for a couple seasons.
Yeah, and they usually ended with, those doors usually got closed with, well, that person died. That person died.
Yeah, which is not generally that satisfying.
Right, when everybody's just dying.
They just died.
So who's dying today in this episode? Oh, well, I guess that character's closed.
So we're like, oh, but remember all of the intrigue with this situation and this. Oh, but he died, so none of that is really important at all now.
Right.
Yeah, they're just dead.
Yeah, I guess it's like the fucking Fellowship of the Ring. It's not really where you're going, it's the journey that you had to take to get there.
Oh, hell yeah. There's a number of writers that I like that are highly predictable. I'm like, I don't care. Fucking tell me what you're going to do on the first page. Getting there's been the fun time.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, there you go, Sam.
I've bitched about Endgame and the Star Wars, and I've wanted to do that for a while.
We got some listener feedback this week from Jack B. He's got an email that says, if you want to email us, talk@stinkermadness.com. Having just recently watched Pet Semetary 2019, the only real conclusion I can come to, it's not really much of anything. As a horror movie, it's average. It has a few good tense moments, but they mostly end with jump scares. By the end, it's horribly generic. The few good moments aren't enough to redeem it. Makeup, lighting, and effects are all better than the original. Not saying a lot, but that seems to be because it was released 30 years later. No visuals in the movie stood out except one. When the truck crashes into the kid, it's ridiculous and is a terrible effect compared to everything else. I had to stop myself from laughing out loud, which child death in a theater that you laugh at, I've done it.
Pretty bad.
I've done it, and I feel like shit, but some movies are just like...
When the kid, what was that Midnight Man shit that we
the
were
Midnight
watching?
Man.
Like, it sucked, and the only thing that was funny was this kid pops like a balloon. I just like shot snot out of my nose because I wasn't ready for it to happen.
Right.
And it was super dumb. I was like, what the fuck?
Right, and you do it in the theater, and everybody turns around and looks at you because you're the sole horrible person in there that realizes movies are usually stupid. So, been there, man. The new script is a wash. There are some significant changes from the original material. They make it technically a better movie because it makes more sense. Some of the nonsense you guys pointed out in your episode are fixed in this. These changes also have the effect of making it far less enjoyable as a bad movie. The most hilarious moments from the original are gone. There's still some nonsense, but it's all carried over from the original. It brings nothing new to the table. The actors are all competent but forgettable, even Lithgow, which I would that's him in a nutshell. He's no Fred Gwynn, though. Of course not, dude. Fred Gwynn is so awesome in the fucking first one. And Lithgow just lacks charisma, very much John Lithgow-esque.
Yeah, he's almost made it.
No one will make whiskey jokes about Lithgow's Crandall. This movie stands in a weird place where it's not good or bad enough to be very entertaining. If you want to laugh your ass off at a Stephen King movie, watch the original. If you want a genuinely frightening, really good horror movie, go see Jordan Peele's Us, which is fantastic, and I can't recommend it enough. Maybe with a group of riffers, this could be fun, but from my perspective, Pet Semetary 2019 is painfully average, which, good. I mean, that's a good thing that he told us, because it should have been
A field trip
because that episode was so much fun, but knowing that we're just going to come back to the studio and be like,
it sounds
what the
like
fuck are we going to talk about?
It sounds like we would have done what we did with a couple of them where we did it, and we're like,
Jupiter Ascending, particular.
nope. Smab winner, Jupiter Ascending,
Right,
which
we couldn't
in
even do a
hindsight was much better than we thought the first time.
But we couldn't have done a podcast on it.
No, I mean, we could. It's just
Yeah.
like, it's bleh.
Yeah. So, no, I appreciate the email, Jack. That's kind of the rough thing about what we do is with field trips is if some of you would notice, there's been a sharp decline in them this year. We haven't gone to fucking one because there's really hasn't been anything out.
That was the only thing it was even on the radar.
Alita could have been an episode, except for the fact that I kind of loved it and I thought it was a solid movie for a March release.
I mean, I don't know if I loved it, but I was impressed. I didn't think that was going to come out of Rodriguez, to be very honest with you.
That should have been, if anything was going to be an episode, that had the conditions, say, to be a terrible March movie.
Sure.
I had an absolute blast with it. I couldn't recommend it enough, and in no way do I think it's a stinker. So it didn't make the episode.
Well,
So, but we do have, obviously, Angel Has Fallen coming. We're 100% doing an episode on that because the Has Fallen series is kind of our bag.
and there's no way to actually make it good.
Right.
It can't be done.
I'm a little disappointed with the trailer. I watched the trailer. I thought it was going to be a little bit tougher stuff. It's just a pretty generic framing plot, but he is going to blow up a lot of guys. So that's, I mean, you don't show up for the plot when you're dealing with Banning. You show up to watch Banning cut people's ears off and then wear them as a necklace because he's a fucking maniac.
He's a maniac. I don't even really know what happens other than he kills people in those two movies.
Right.
I've seen him both 3 times.
Right. So we'll do that. There was another, it seemed like there was another Pet Semetary coming out, Pet Semetary-esque re-release. Oh, the Chucky thing. Depending on what kind of reviews that gets, maybe we'll check that out. I don't know. I could see that being just like Pet Semetary, to tell you the truth.
The one that's probably worthy of, but I won't touch with a 10-foot fucking pole is Aladdin.
I
just can't imagine Will Smith doing good in anything at this point.
Boy. Yeah, we'll see. So
Hopefully that fucking thing maintains over a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes, so we don't have to watch it.
yeah, so we don't have to watch it. I am not jacked about that. I don't really like Aladdin. Things that we do like. Got a couple streaming do's and don'ts this week. Starting with a missed SMABFA opportunity. Fucking Bumblebee. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, people really liked that.
People came to me and you and said that it was good. That it was, hey, it's not, I mean, or maybe context. That it was not necessarily good, but it's a pretty good Transformers movie. Like, if you don't like the other ones, you might want to try Bumblebee because it was kind of solid. So we went into it like thinking, okay, it'll be a fine popcorn film. It stinks.
It stinks.
It's awful. It's terrible. It's as bad, if not worse, than most of the Transformers movies.
Yeah, it's very bad.
There's zero plot. The dialogue is awful. The acting is awful. The action is lackluster as you can get.
John Cena, beyond not being able to do whatever it is they want him to do, I think that's a big problem, is that his character just doesn't make sense.
Right.
He doesn't, you're like, I'm the bad guy, good guy, never really know which, he's like a rabid dog that just sort of runs around unpredictably through the whole picture.
Right.
He doesn't make any sense.
And he's awful.
He's quite bad.
He's awful. He should have been at least in contention for the worst bad actor.
The gal, I don't know if she got an Oscar nod, but she got like a nomination for Golden Globe maybe for True Grit. It's the young girl from True Grit. She stinks in it.
She stinks in it too.
Travis Knight directed it. Phil Knight, owner of Nike, his son, directed
Really?
that movie.
Huh.
He did Kubo and the Two Strings, and honestly, Kubo and the Two Strings, I didn't think the direction was that strong. I thought the animation was fucking amazing.
Right.
But it's like, really? Because this stinks. It has like an 80 or something?
Right.
What?
Yeah, I don't get it, man. I don't freaking get it. It was awful. We were bored, in misery, and like the whole time going, dude, what are people seeing here? Because like the graphics were bad, the CGI was terrible.
It was terrible.
The robots look awful, and it's just like, oh yeah, but they're like 80s Transformers, which is what should have been in the entire case, because you know what? Transformers aren't trendy. They are not like, dude, I'm going to have more metal because it's 2016. Fuck you, Michael Bay. That's their bodies.
Yeah.
You don't have more metal because it's later. Make them look like they made in the 80s. That's fine. I have no problem with that, but the visuals themselves were
They were a little
cartoony.
They were a little plasticky.
Yeah, like something you would see on like fucking Saturday morning right now, or wherever they show cartoons at.
Wherever they have the bad animation,
Right.
those locations.
Right. Yeah, it just looked bad.
It didn't look that. It looked plasticky.
Mm-hmm.
It was like they didn't make enough passes in the rendering.
Right.
And it was just kind of like, it obviously wasn't really there.
Yeah, they got 2K textures instead of the 4K.
4K or something.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what the hell that was. Bumblebee is a do not.
No, the Michael Bay ones are better. I still think that, like, that guy sucks bad.
Right.
And that those are the best job he's ever done, and it still stinks.
Yeah. Got a movie that we watched today, Sam. Directed by Jack Hill from the Corman Group and written by one Jim Wynorski from 1982, Sorceress on Amazon Prime.
Do it.
Boy, that was a surprise.
That one came out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Good as any of these fucking shitty movies that we talk about.
It's an episode.
It could have been an episode.
I will
and
pick it
again,
one day eventually.
Nobody fucking talks about it. Sorceress, because, you know, it's that goddamn David Carradine, Sam. He's the one that everybody focuses on with the swords and sandals shit
The
of
Sword
these
and the Sorcerer.
early 80s movies.
Wizard and the Warrior. The Sword and the
Yeah,
Sorcerer
yeah,
is the gun sword
Right.
thing, right?
I think it's just because it's got this really generic, no, that's Future War.
Well, apparently it was a big, because, like, the cover art's good.
Yeah.
It made $4 million.
A Wynorski movie essentially made $4 million in 1982. In today's money, that's like 25.
And
that's really good.
It's sort of like Drew Brees winning a Super Bowl with the Saints. It counts for like 10 Super Bowls.
Right.
If Jim Wynorski writes a movie that makes $4 million, that's like $80 million in philosophical money.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it was a big deal in its release, but nobody talks about this shit at all. Like Sorceress, and I don't know why it's not called Sorceresses. Sorceress-I? What would be
Because the two are
sorcerers?
one.
Yeah.
Sorceresses.
Sorceresses.
Witches.
Yeah, right.
Those are some hot witches. I'm iced tea now.
Dude, it was awesome.
It's
awesome. The
awesome.
story of these two, the chosen ones, essentially, who are babies and they get blue put on them.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the fact that they didn't get a montage to become warriors.
Right.
Some Hare Krishna from LAX touches them, they turn blue, and now they're sorceresses and battle masters.
But
they're still babies.
And they really don't even use magic, Sam. They just occasionally glow blue and then use swords like everybody else. They're just good at swords.
I think use swords much more poorly than other people.
Yeah, well, look, but we're told that they're good at it.
Yeah.
When you view them, they're quite bad at it.
They kind of hold them. And they move around a little bit.
Yeah, it's essentially the same plot as like any barbarian movie, but wow, is it dumb, and wow, is it awesome, and cheesy effects out the wazoo.
I think instantaneously the only one I like better is Deathstalker 2.
That's exactly
It's just
what
like
I compare
shot
to.
into the number 2 spot on my sword and sandal bullshit.
Yeah, man. Sorceress is a must-see. Absolutely loved it. Fucking fantastic. Also on Amazon Prime. And yes, we know about the other one. We'll address that at a later date. But I want to talk about the Concorde Affair, 1979. One of two Concorde movies called Concorde blank 79
Yeah.
from 1979. How do you even do that? That's like Deep Impact and Armageddon being like Deep Impact and Deep Armageddon. Like, come on,
Yeah.
man. 2003.
It were like Deep Impact and Deep Impact.
2003. It's got to have the year in it.
Yo,
too.
if they both have the same year in it, though, it's just like there's a noise in front of Deep Impact
Right.
for the second one. Did you see Deep Impact? I didn't, but I saw Deep Impact. It was terrible.
It was real bad. I hated it. Deep Impact kind of sucks too. Yeah, the Concorde Affair is again another one of those movies where the Italians rushed it out because they thought the fucking Concorde Airport Concorde 79 was going to be such a big deal.
Yeah.
We got to get our Concorde movie out first, and it stinks.
Yeah.
And they both stink, to tell you the truth. But this one is essentially the same fucking movie. Some guys want to take out the Concorde because I guess they own their own airlines. The Concorde is too sweet. And so they sabotage them. And the whole movie is about a journalist finding a survivor from one of the sabotaged Concorde
Test
flights
with stewardesses.
so that she can tell the FAA what happened on that flight, because apparently they can't get the black box because that's not something that they have, or I don't know what, and to save the other Concorde so that if something happens on one of the other Concordes, they know what to do.
That's kind of not what happens. She ends up having to talk to him on the phone while they do loop to loop.
Oh, the penultimate scene where she fucking is on the phone talking to ground control, who is patched her in to the Concorde that's about to crash because it's been sabotaged, is some of the worst acting I've ever seen in such a high tension situation. It's really bad high tension acting.
It's bad. You can't even figure out where they found the footage of the Concorde. It's
Right.
really bad.
It's really bad.
And then the dialogue itself is constantly square pegs in round holes trying to match up.
Right.
Like they don't really line up. And then she's telling them about what happened to her and the other Concorde so that they can do loop-de-loops and not blow up and die.
Right. All she says to them is, I was the stewardess. I was walking down the hallway or the aisle with some sodas, and the plane banked, and I got knocked unconscious. And they're like, the oven has been sabotaged!
Yeah.
Flip switch 22X! And then they start fucking flipping switches based off of her saying, I fell down and bonked my head.
I fell down and bonked my head. Anything else?
Nope.
I just boned some dude.
Right.
But that was a
And
lot
whose wife
afterwards.
just died 3 days ago.
I guess they were divorced.
Were they?
She's like, yeah, she left him for to be the lobster queen of some imaginary island.
Right. Of the Antilles.
Antilles,
Yeah.
yeah. Wedge Antilles.
Right. The Concorde Affair is not great.
It's not
But
Concorde 79.
I'm
that's for
I'm
sure.
still gonna give it a do because
Yeah.
it's super dumb and it's super riffable, and I just enjoy those late 70s disaster movies that are not necessarily too exciting, because Concorde 79 is super exciting, but kind of allow you to riff them. I enjoy those kind of.
This was, I think, pretty. It was funny enough. Like the guy who I guess is the bad guy.
Oh yeah. Oh man. He or is
his-
he?
and
It
his-
seemed like he had a boss on top of him too.
I can't.
Who was just an old guy, as evidenced by
But
his glue on his face.
He wasn't just some guy. He was the guy.
The old guy?
The old guy was the guy.
Yeah, I think he's like the really over the top actor was actually number 2 to that guy, and the main bad guy just kind of fucks off for the rest of the movie, and you're left with number 2.
But yeah, either way, that old guy, the guy you get the most of, him and his right hand man have some of the most awkward, not even awkward, just like non-dialogue.
Right.
The first time you see
But
him,
it's
he's
all
like,
done with like zoom in on their face when they say their random line and like,
Yeah.
like it's very 60s Star Trek style shooting. These guys like Kirk and Spock are having these big moments between each other, and it's, what are you guys talking about?
Like the first time the one guy walks up and he's like, well, it looks like things are still getting off the ground. And then there's an awkward pause and he just goes, you know where I stand. And then it just cuts to another scene of like some planes flying. You're like,
Right.
what the fuck was that?
Oh, and the model work is so bad. It is not the Andersons by any means. I mean, real bad. Like, the Concorde itself, when they use a model instead of stock shots, it seems to be made out of paper. It might be a paper airplane.
I thought at one point that it was actually just 2-dimensional.
Right.
That it was a printout, or like a drawing of it.
It's got a stick glued to it. Some guy's like,
there's a clear stick on one side, and you just sort of ran it by the camera. You can actually see a jogging suit behind the plane with the guy running. Like, the stick's clear, but that's behind the plane, so you can't actually see the thing you made invisible. The jogging guy is in the shot.
Pew, pew, pew. It's a Concorde, Gary. It doesn't make laser sounds. Dude, just, you know what? Fuck it. Just run with it. Now it makes pew, pew, pew sounds.
We don't even have a microphone, Gary. I just can't run and use a plane without making sounds.
It's that bad. I liked it. I'd give it a 6 out of 10, which puts it in the do category. So check both of those out.
Whereas Concorde 1 is like a fucking 8.
Yeah, we're doing an episode on Concorde 79 or Airport Concorde 79. So stay tuned for that. It's Jackie's pick next week. Is that right, Sam? What was our?
I think so. Because I just picked Men of War.
Oh, Men of War was our last. Yeah, that's right. So it is Jackie's pick next, which I believe she is doing. Gas.
Oh yeah, Gas.
The also Roger Corman movie.
Yeah.
So I believe that's also on Prime or Netflix. It's on one of the two. So check that out this week. It should be a gas. Final thoughts?
I ate too many mashed potatoes.
Oh, no, you don't feel good.
Yeah.
That sucks. All right, well, we got to wrap this up, guys. I got to go pick up Jackie at the airport. Enjoy the Game of Thrones tonight. I hope everybody cancels their signature on. Oh, well, everybody's going to die, obviously, but our listeners, I hope they end up so happy with the ending that they're like, all right, remove me from the petition. I don't fucking care.
You can't remove yourself from an internet petition. It's not even real.
That's part of the rules. Once you sign up, it's Faustian contracts.
It's also like you'd have to go back onto the internet and do it. Or
right.
Why would I undo something that doesn't matter?
What website was that on? Was that on fucking MySpace? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who cares? So anyways, get to the chopper. Visit us at www.stinkermadness.com. Follow Stinker Madness on Twitter at Stinker Madness. Please rate and review us on iTunes and Stitcher. Thank you for listening, and get to the chopper.